This is problem 8-19 from section 8.1.1, day 2. It says find the roots of each of the following polynomial functions. Roots is another name for x-intercepts or the zeros. So what we want to do is plug in y equals 0 for these and solve it for x. Okay? So the first one right here in A, I'm going to replace y with 0. So 0 equals x squared minus 6x plus 8. Now we're going to factor this, okay? So you can do the box and the diamond, but hopefully we're getting a little bit better speed when we're factoring, especially if it's only a 1x squared. This might be more appropriate to use the previous way you learned how to factor. So what things multiply to get me to 8, and they could add to get to negative 6. So these are going to be 4 and 2 are my numbers, and they're going to both be negatives. Okay, so now I'm going to use the zero property and set each of those parentheses equal to 0 and solve it. So x minus 2 equals 0. That will give me x equals positive 2. Man, this thing is bad today. Sorry about that. And then I have x minus 4 equals 0. So when I set that equal to 0 and I solve for x, I get x equals positive 4. So you're going to do the same thing with A, or with B and C. Okay, so with B, right here, we have 0, so we're plugging in y equals 0. This also means y equals x squared minus 6x plus 9. Okay, so I'm going to factor this to get x, these are both going to be 3's, and they're going to both be negatives again. So this time I just get one value of x equals positive 3. Okay, that's my root, or my 0, or my x-intercept. And C was 0 equals x to the third minus 4x. Now this one, I'm going to factor, but I'm going to factor it a little differently. I'm going to factor out a common value. They both have at least one x, so I'm going to pull that out. X squared minus 4. Right? So now I can factor this part a little bit further, and if you know, that's a difference of squares. So that was, you take the square root of both things, and one's going to be a plus, and one will be a minus. There we go. So I'm going to set all three things equal to 0. This is a cubic function, so it's like a squiggly S type thing, like that. So we could possibly touch it 3 times if that's where it goes through. So I have x equals 0. If I set this next one equal to 0, I get x equals positive 2. And then I'll get the last one, x equals negative 2. So I'm setting all of my factors equal to 0 to find the roots, the zeros, or the x-intercepts. You can also check these on the calculator too. Plug in the equation and double check that those are your intercepts. You can calculate them using the calc feature, or you can just probably be able to look, since these are all very nice values.